Hi, my name is Robin, and welcome to English Grammar Now. Today, we're going to be talking about giving reasons, and to give reasons, we're discussing some prepositions. First, what are prepositions? Prepositions are words or phrases that usually come together with a noun phrase. And a preposition will give information about the direction, the time, the location, or the connection between different things. I know that sounds a little confusing, but today we're going to study two prepositions, to and for. Let's start by talking about the preposition to. One of the ways that we can use this preposition is to add a reason into our sentence. To do this, we will use the preposition to and then a verb after it. Here's some examples. You can use this bowl to mix the dough. Scan the code to get the promotion. She went to town to meet a friend. Using to in these sentences is adding a reason. So we're answering a question that begins with why. For example, if we take the to phrase out of each of these sentences, you can see what it would look like here. You can use this bowl. Someone might ask a question, why should I use this bowl? Then we add our preposition phrase, to mix the dough. We could also say, scan the code, and then ask the question, why? Why should I scan the code? The reason, to get the promotion. We could also say, she went to town, and our question would be, why did she go to town? The reason also begins with our preposition, to meet a friend. Did you notice that each time we use to, it is followed by a verb? To mix, to get, and to meet. We cannot put a noun after to used in this way. For example, it would be incorrect to use this sentence. She went to town to a friend. We couldn't put a noun immediately after our preposition to. For this preposition, we always need to put a verb after it. Maybe you did notice, though, that there are two examples of to being used in this sentence. We have to town and to meet a friend. That's the same preposition, but it's being used in two different ways. In this sentence, you can see that to town is showing us the direction she is going. The second time we use to is to tell us the reason she is going. Preposition phrases add this kind of information into the sentence. As we already said, it might be about direction, time, location, or other information. Here's something for you to try out. We have 5 beginnings of sentences and 5 endings of sentences, but they've been mixed up. See if you can connect the beginnings of the sentence with the ends of the sentence and put to in between. The second part is the reason for the first part. See if you can give it a try. Here's how we would match up these sentences using to. For number 1, she had to run very fast to catch the bus. Number 2, my sister comes to me to ask for help. Number 3, we use the extra cement to fill the holes in the sidewalk. Number 4, Jake went to Germany to attend university. And number 5, are you waiting to see the doctor? For each of these sentences, to is adding the reason. the reason for the first half. For example, in the last sentence, are you waiting to see the doctor? We could ask a why question like, why are you waiting? And the answer is in the to phrase, to see the doctor. That's the reason I'm waiting. Another very similar preposition is for. We can also use for to add a reason into our sentence. However, the formula for this is to add for and then a noun, or a noun phrase, which is a group of words that are all part of the same thing. Here's some examples. You can use this bowl for the dough. Scan the code for the promotion. She went to town for a meeting with a friend. You can see how we've changed each of these sentences to make them have a similar meaning, but we are using a noun after for each time. Our nouns are the dough, the promotion, and a meeting. You may notice that sometimes our nouns are more than one word. We might have a little word like the or a in there. And for our last example, it's several words together, but all of them are making one thing. A meeting with a friend is one noun. We call this a noun phrase. But there's one more thing we need to look at, because when we use for, it can be a little tricky. Consider this sentence here. You can use this bowl for mixing the dough. This is a correct sentence. But you might be thinking, isn't mixing a verb? You would be right. Mixing is a verb. The answer to this question is yes and no in this case. As you may remember from a previous episode, if we put ing at the end of a verb, it's called a gerund. We studied this when we talked about putting two verbs together. However, what we didn't talk about is that the gerund is a verb, but it's acting like a noun. We use gerunds in sentences in the same way that we would use a noun. Here's an example to prove my point. We could make a sentence with a noun at the end. She is afraid of dogs. Dogs is a noun. It's the object of this sentence. But we could also replace dogs with a gerund. She is afraid of flying. Flying is also a verb, to fly, but when we have it in the gerund form, it is acting like a noun in our sentence. So let's compare using to and using for to add a reason into our sentences. Here's some side-by-side sentences that have a similar meaning. On the to side, I'm waiting to see if he comes. I'm waiting for him to come. Here's another example. Did you stay up to watch the fireworks? Did you stay up for the fireworks? And one more example. We don't have time to stop and see him. We don't have time for stopping. You can see that after to, we have verbs, see, watch, stop. And after for, we have nouns, him, the fireworks, and stopping, which is the gerund form. So it's acting like a noun. Here's something for you to try. In each of these sentences, can you decide if it is missing to or if it is missing for, and fill in the blanks? Go ahead, give it a try. Here's how we could fill in those blanks with the prepositions to or for. Number 1, Alice sat down to read the newspaper. Number 2, Do I need a key to open the door? Number 3. I went for a walk by the river for some fresh air. Number 4. Look out the window to see if anyone is here. Number 5. I need to go downtown for the concert. Number 6. That's the room for recording. Hopefully this wasn't too difficult because you can see after the blank if it was a noun or a verb. The only tricky one might be number 6 because recording is the gerund form of the verb to record. So we need to have for in that blank. Now there's a couple of other phrases that we can also use to add a reason into our sentences. Here's what they might look like. I need to stay home because of my baby brother. The flight was delayed due to the poor weather. Thanks to your contribution, we managed to finish on time. The class will be canceled on account of the teacher's illness. Highlighted in green are the other phrases we could use to add a reason. And maybe you notice that after each of these phrases is a noun or a noun phrase, which are my baby brother, the poor weather, your contribution, and the teacher's illness. So we could also use these phrases to add a reason into a sentence. Here's a conversation to see how these prepositions look in everyday speech. What are all these tools for? See that red one? That's for taking out nails. What about this? Be careful, that's sharp. I use that to cut pieces of wood to the right size. Do you use this for making holes? I would, but I can't right now because of the problem with the battery. Let's use the hammer to finish this piece. Put on these gloves to protect your hands. Here's where we see prepositions being used to add reasons into these sentences. We have at the beginning, for at the end of our question. We have already studied how to add a preposition at the very end of a question. You can also see how after for, we have a gerund in the second sentence. That's for taking. We also have an example of using the phrase because of the problem with the battery. Because of also needs to be followed by a noun or a noun phrase. Thanks for studying with me about different ways of adding reasons into our sentences using prepositions. I'll see you again next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.